my phone on silent.
Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you. Hello, welcome to World Inkers Network. I'm Dustin Pickering, your noble and honest host, as you know. And as you remember, we did a Hunger Anthology at Transcendent Zero Press, and we have one of our contributors today on episode number 298. And so if you have not subscribed to our YouTube and you're watching right now, shame on you. Subscribe. Subscribe to our tribe. Today's guest is Papia Ghosh, who is a postgraduate of economics and has always been driven by a relentless desire to remain abreast of her times. A high school teacher for about 21 years, she's been an avid reader with a penchant for pinning down her thoughts and experiences through poems and short stories. Many of her poems and short stories have been published in prestigious anthologies in India and abroad. Her poem Collages has been published in Sampad and their anthology Inspired by Gandhi. Snapshots Around the Lake was published by Indian Poetry Review in 2021. Her poem Delhi Book Fair Goes Virtual won first prize at the Delhi Book Fair of 2020. Very recently, her poem Tidbits of Hunger has been included in an international anthology. Besides, her poems have been published in Sharing Stories, the best digital magazine today, and several digital platforms. She believes that writing is a journey and is a reflection of her inner world, coupled with the pearls of experiences strewn around us in our daily lives. Writing has helped her to find a voice for those voiceless moments, rearing their eager heads for a pertinent expression. At Word Munchers, she is actively involved in nurturing children and adults to pin down their imagination for future readers and thereby living the life of her dreams. Thanks for joining us today, Papia. How are you doing?
I'm fine. My name is pronounced as Papia.
Papia. Sorry, I called papaya as a fruit.
Yes.
Speaking of
And
fruit, we have the
yes,
wonderful
and
Hunger
Papia
Anthology.
is actually a nightingale.
Oh, okay, that's nice. So speaking of fruit, papaya, I guess that's a good segue into the Hunger Anthology, which was recently published and which we're hoping to help promote a little bit with the show here today, as well as some of your own writings. So tell us a little bit about where you heard about Hunger and Anthology and why it intrigued you.
Actually, I had been following you and I had been reading your poems. I really like your poems.
Oh, thank you.
And then, yeah, so, and then when this anthology came up, and since I was contributing everywhere, so I thought that why not give this a shot
Mhm.
and send the work to you. You all liked it, and thanks so much for publishing that.
Well, thank you for submitting. I believe it was Studi, our assistant editor, who selected quite a number of the pieces in the volume. I selected a handful of them, and she selected most of them. And this book, I'm going to show it here real quick, Hunger and Anthology. And this is a beautiful edition of a book. And by the way, if you buy a copy out there, if you're watching today and you buy a copy of this, I'm helping out some people who need help with they're having trouble getting food. They have food security issues, and I'm helping them out. A couple of people I know. So, tell us a little bit about your writing process. What what is your what it inspires you to write?
I think life, of course, inspires me to write. Um, And actually, I myself, I didn't know that, I had it in me to become a poet. In fact, I started writing poetry when I was about 47 years old
Okay.
at that time. And it's my youngest sister. She had to write one poem. She had an assignment. She told me that, I can't write a poem, so can you write this for me? I said, I haven't written a poem in my life. And then she sent me some samples of the poems. And then, I wrote a poem for her. That was the beginning. And then, of course, but, from small, I'm very fond of reading poetry.
Okay.
All, like, of course, because I'm a Bengali, I've read a lot of Tagore. But other than that, also English poets, they have always, poetry has always been very close to my heart. And if anybody says something in rhyme, then I will remember it.
Mm-hmm.
uh, so it is always like that. So and then, over the years, I from time to time I would write. Then in 2017 I left my job. I was teaching economics, in high school for all these years. But that year, 2017, my son, he went to university. And I thought that I think this is enough. I was just tired. I wanted to do something creative. And that is how in 2019, after that, I joined Word Munchers. In 2018, I left my job. In 2019, I joined Word Munchers. And then my creative processes began. Creativity also requires some space.
Mm-hmm.
If you're so busy doing everything, I don't think it kills your creativity. So you
Yes,
need some,
absolutely.
yeah, so you need some space. And I was craving for that space in life. And then, of course, I started writing poetry, and then they started getting published in different platforms. And as it was getting recognition, and I was like, and I always read the poems that are published, like on Facebook, all of you post poems. I sit and read them because, reading what other people are writing is a wonderful way of learning yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a learner, you can say. I define myself as the that. I'm trying to polish my poems, make it better. So it's like that.
There was a glitch there. That
Yeah. Dustin, can you hear me? Hello, Dustin, can you hear me?
sorry, I was booted out for some reason. I don't know what
Okay.
happened there. Sorry about that.
No, no, it's okay.
Let me try to make sure I get this correct here. Remove that one. Sorry about that. Now, what were you saying? I missed a lot of what it just froze up and then I was gone. I was like, I must have been zapped from above or something, like something attacked
Yes. So I was just saying that, lots of poetry, very beautiful poetry, is posted, on Facebook, and then, books are published. So I read poetry regularly.
me.
And
Absolutely.
like, other people's work, I love to read that because I consider myself as a learner.
Hmm.
I'm learning from other people. Like, for example, your poems, I am so fond of your poems.
Thank
The
you.
reason being that, you know how you relate very diverse topics of life. Like,
Hmm.
you're you start with something, but then you go into something else that is totally unrelated. And how, I think, the use of metaphors, the use of personification, all these things are very strong in your poems. So I really enjoy reading your poems. Sometimes, some of the poems are a little dark, but it doesn't matter. I
Those dark zones a lot of times.
Yes, but that is the thought of the poet, isn't it? I think
That's
all
the
of us.
liberty of it. If you can't go in the dark and sing in the dark, then why are you in the dark in the first place?
So I think, everybody who writes, it is a reflection of their thoughts, their inner world, their experience of life. So I think all these things are very important.
How do you think you would describe your own poetry from, just if you were maybe a reader outside of yourself, how would you relate to it?
I'm a very optimistic person, Dustin.
Okay.
Even if I fail at something, suppose, I sent my work somewhere and it was not accepted. I think of that failure as to, as a stepping stone. I mean, why did it fail? I look at it like that instead of looking at it bitterly. So I think all my poems are very optimistic. I can't write about um, very negative, dark things. Never. In neither in my stories nor in my poems. I believe in optimism so much that my poems are very optimistic. That is how I describe it.
Interesting. So, how is working with word munchers and with children and developing them and their abilities? How does that affect your own writing? And does it help sort of do a
Yes,
collaboration sort of effect with that? That you
yes.
feel strongly
See,
about that?
I think, being a teacher, the best thing is your students teach you. Just as
Mhm.
you are teaching them, the children are also teaching you. They are also your teachers. And Word Munchers is such a beautiful platform which has been made by Richa Wahi. And she has done a creative writing from Cardiff, and she made this institute. So
Mhm.
over here, we teach children right from the age of 6 years to the high school level, and we have junior levels also, and we teach them creative writing. We don't follow any syllabus. So over
Hmm.
there also, we teach them how to write different types of poems, different poetic forms. And to tell you very frankly, Dustin, I really don't know from where I got that inspiration to experiment with different poetic forms and help the children to write. I think the greatest development that I have is when I teach them poetic forms and I also write in class with them. As they are writing poetry, I'm also writing a poetry. And when I'm correcting their work, so when you're correcting as to what should be there, what should not be there, I think that is a big thing. Besides this, I also have adult students. I particularly have a gentleman. He's a computer sir, but he is a good poet,
Mhm.
and he writes regularly with me. So these are things that help me really.
So, how do you transition from teaching at a university level and then teaching children? Is there do you feel there's a difference there, or is there a different
No,
style of teaching? Or
no, I was not teaching in a university.
oh,
I
you
was
were
teaching in high school. I
okay,
was
teaching
teaching
high
in
school.
high
That's correct. Do you
I
feel?
w- yes,
I remember
I
now.
was teaching in the high school. I was teaching economics and commerce. Mainly, I was teaching that. But I used to take a few English classes also. But I was always from very small. I have been always a very avid reader.
Hmm.
I think that is a very important part of writing. So I read a lot of English literature as well as Bengali.
Okay.
Lot of I read. So at that time I was teaching big children. Now I'm teaching small children also. It's more difficult to teach small children. You need a lot of patience, and also you have to go down to their level to understand their psychology, what they can understand, how much they can take, what is it that they can't take. Because small children, for them, abstract thinking is very difficult. For them,
Hmm.
concrete concepts are very easy. And another thing also I realized when we are teaching that, that poetry writing is not for everybody. But then, if people try, we don't know if we try what we can do. That much I can tell you.
So when you mentioned like correcting or helping a person develop their poetry or their craft, and how do you go about doing that? It's some kind of a tricky thing to sometimes because you have to kind of have some insight into the person and what they're trying to say. So how do you develop that insight?
Um, I think, we explain that in class very well when we are teaching a particular poetic form about a particular topic, and we keep the topic in mind. Sometimes we give pictures so that, they are more visual and they can understand the topic better.
Hmm.
And we usually do this so that, the children can grasp the concept. And sometimes, I'm also writing with them in class and I'm telling them that, see, on this topic I have written this. So they get a chance to see that how that topic is being interpreted by an adult. Okay. So that is how we do. And then when we correct, first of all, we see that whether they have followed. If we are teaching them rhymes, say ABCD, simple thing I'm saying, whether they have followed that rhyme. And how, a poetry is not a prose. That is the first thing that we teach them, that, which you can say in long sentence, you have to make it short. So
Hmm.
how you're doing that. And then, of course, on their ideas, but we give them complete freedom to interpret a topic or a picture in their own way. We have to, respect their
Hmm.
point of view also. But sometimes we say that, this is not done, like, you're not rhyming only for the sake of rhyming. There should be some, uh, there should be some, mm, what to say, some substance to it. And not only that, the concept of a poetry, which most children don't understand, where they make, mistakes, is that every stanza, as it is flowing from one to the other, actually we are telling a story
Hmm.
within a few words. Each poem is basically a story in a few words. So the concept should flow. So what you said in the first stanza should not be there in the second stanza. So
Hmm.
second stanza should be something else which is related to the first, and then the third one related to that again, and then how you are wrapping up the whole thing. So these are the things we teach about the opening line, about the closing line, and, the use of anaphora. All these things are taught.
Interesting. So you basically teach poetic devices and how to construct
Yeah.
a
Yes.
cohesive poem. That's
Yeah.
fascinating. Do
Yeah.
you find that children are really receptive to learning poetry and that they enjoy reading
Yes.
it after they,
Yes.
they write it?
Yes. They are. They are. And some of them are such fantastic poets.
Uh huh.
Some of
Absolutely.
them, they come with such original ideas, such beautiful ideas. So, when I'm listening to that,
Hmm.
that is also a learning for me. That, oh, look, this is the way a person can think. Suppose we had a competition, where we give a picture of a rainbow, and, children are dipping their finger in the rainbow and they're
Hmm.
licking the colors. So that type of a thing. Or say, a picture of a grandmother's kitchen, and what are the, the ingredients that are made. So these things. And poetry, lessons usually I plan. So usually they are my topics, and I try to make it fun. It should not be like, you can understand, like maybe a messy, your messy room, and you're telling them why your room is messy and look at what are the ingredients. So they should have fun when they are writing something like that. So
This does sound fun. Why did you choose to publish your own poetry? Was there something that prompted you to decide to go for a full book?
yes, actually, I have been writing for quite some time, and these are actually a few of my poems. From time to time, I have been writing. And then I thought that, let me make a book and let me share it with everybody. So, what will be the response? How will people like to read these poems?
Hmm.
So, it's something like that. And now my adult student and I, we are writing a poetry book together, where we are putting together about 40 poetic forms. And both of us, like, we are explaining the poetic form first, and then both of us are writing two poems based on that, and we are putting together a book like that.
Hmm.
So these are the different, I want to experiment with the different forms of poetry. I'm very interested in that.
Interesting. So just exploring the poetic realm and the different styles and approaches you
Yeah.
can take. So,
Yes.
what kind of when you get a readership, when you have readers approach you and tell you what they think, how do they react to your poetry?
Most of them, they say that the poet, like, one person said that, is it written by you? I can't believe it. I thought that it was written by, one of the established poets. And also that is a, I think that is a big compliment, when people
That
put
is
it in
quite a
that way.
compliment. Shows a level of, I guess you could call it, expertise in the craft.
Yeah.
How did you learn poetry? I mean, did you maybe like imitate some masters, or did you just enjoy writing and just learn
It,
from that?
I think my greatest muse is Tagore,
Okay.
because from the time I was 7 years old, I learned music, and
Hmm.
I we used to sing Tagore songs. So his songs are so beautiful, and each of the songs, they are like, they are a story, which I did not realize then, but now I realize. And when and even his poems in
Hmm.
my family, I think for this, my father, he was a great reader, and he loved poetry. And also my grandfather, he also developed my sense in art. Like,
Hmm.
suppose the radio is being played, he would say, Acha, you tell me who is singing this song, what kind of a song it is.
Hmm.
So I have learned Indian music a lot, and that has also helped me to think, particularly Tagore. Uh, if you read his works, I think the English version of Gitanjali doesn't do justice to really what that great man has written. It's nothing, even it's not even 1% of it if you read his
Wow.
work in Bengali. So he is a great inspiration to me. Another one of my favorite poets is Pablo Neruda. I
Okay.
love his poems. And another one is this one, Emily Dickinson, of course, Wordsworth, all these people. And then this one, Khalil Gibran. I love his work. Rumi. I
Hmm.
love his poems. Uh, they have such a beautiful way of saying the ordinary things.
Hmm.
What a beautiful thing he's saying, that you are not a uh, you are not an ocean, you are, yeah, no, I think he said that, no, I think that was the poem of Hafiz, who says that, about the sky saying to the earth that, never says to the earth that you owe me, and look what happens with a love like this. It
Hmm.
lights the whole world. What a beautiful, ordinary, simple things of life. I think poetry is strewn over all the small, simple elements of our lives,
Hmm.
and it is for us
Absolutely.
to pick them up. That is the poetic sensitivity, to pick them up.
Well, we're going to take a brief break, but we'll be right back with some of your work, and we look forward to that. World Inkers Network, I'm Dustin Pickering. We're going to a brief break. Hey, sports fans! New York Parrot has come out with a great new show for you guys, Sports with Rich. Broadcast time 10 p.m. Tuesday evening. Rich Mancuso with Robert Rizzo as a co-host. Sports with Rich is captivating, informative, and entertaining, and it will pertain to all American sports such as soccer, football, basketball, baseball, athletics, wrestling, you name it. Get rich information from Rich Mancuso on Sports with Rich. Parrot, welcome back to World Inkers Network. We have Papaya. I want to say Papaya again. It's a classic.
Papia.
Papia Ghosh today. Thank you so much for helping me out there. Sometimes my tongue likes to twist and turn. I'm a poet, but my tongue doesn't like to cooperate. It
I
doesn't do
know, I
pronunciations
know.
very
It's a
well.
very Indian name. It's not for you to blame.
Okay, so we're glad to have you on the show. And would you like to read a couple of your works with us, so we can get an
Yeah,
idea of, what your writing, your optimistic writing, as you called it, has to
yeah.
say? I'd love to hear it.
So I think I'll read this poem of mine, which is a favorite of mine. The name of the poem is Wabi Swabi. The word Wabi Swabi is about. It says that if even if it is imperfect, even if the world is imperfect, there's something perfect in it.
Hmm.
She sat by her weather-beaten window, watching life scurry by. Was it perfect? Was it peaceful? She asked the sun blazing on high. The fragments of childhood entangled in cobwebs were strewn on evergreen grounds. She stooped to pick the broken pieces, entangled in cuts, bruises, and in gurgling sounds. The friends who left her one by one to join the grind of life, her imperfect friends adorning the imperfect dust, graced her imperfect life. She searched for perfection in the nook and corner of her new home, with her husband in laws and child. The days melted into nights, but perfection was nowhere in sight. As the years rushing by painted imperfections on her beautiful hair and face, she learned to love her imperfect life with its cracks and crevices at every pace. Her understated elegance, maturing with age, abandoned her imperfect quest for perfection. She snugly hugged her imperfect schisms with an ocean of affection.
Hmm. That's wonderful. I love the wisdom there. What book is that from of yours?
This is this book, The Road to Somewhere.
Oh, excellent. So why that title, Road to Somewhere? Is that sort of a general somewhere for anybody to say, well, we're going somewhere kind of thing?
Yeah, I think we are all searching for that, that perfect place somewhere
Uh-huh.
where there's magic, there's no sorrow, there's only joy, and whatever you ask for, you get. I think we are all doing that. So that is
Thank
why
you.
the
Yeah,
name of the book
definitely. And I
is.
think sometimes people don't appreciate some of the sorrows and darkness because it helps you to appreciate the joyful moments.
Absolutely,
Very hard
absolutely,
to go through those things, but once you're out of
absolutely.
that, it's something that gives you an appreciation of where you were and who you are. I think and that's my experience. That's why I sometimes go in those dark places. Life is messy, and I think as a
Yes,
poet, we should be willing to explore
absolutely.
absolutely every avenue of life.
There is a very beautiful saying by Tagore in one of his dance dramas where he is saying that it's the love between a king who is very ugly and his wife, and because he's so ugly, he never lights up the light when he comes to meet his wife. So that time he's just justifying himself, and he's saying that it is in the pain of this ugliness that
Mm,
the beauty is born.
absolutely. Would you like to share another poem with us?
Yes, I think I will share this poem. The name of the poem is Entanglement, and this poem, it won an award when it was published in Sharing Stories in that online magazine.
Okay.
So they gave us this topic entanglement, and I wrote invisible bonds, stronger than fetters, herding us together, calling it family, entanglement. The jungle of roots gripping the dark earth, the pillar of strength for the huge banyan tree, my parents' entanglement. The creepers of hemlock suffocating my existence with tears and sharp retort, struggling for a fresh breath of air, entanglement. Worldly dreams, my wardrobe and perfumes, my jewelry boxes brimming with pride and greed, entanglement. Lazy snakes of grass, of green, tight embraces, wild blossoms of accidental love, trying to trap an elusive dream, entanglement. Wild grass racing across generation, drinking in the sap of life, nurturing humanity, entanglement.
Hmm. Very interesting. So, what do you feel you're saying about the word entanglement there in that
So
poem?
I think, everything that we see around us, all the bonds, right from parents to family. Sometimes, you may have relatives whom you don't want to even keep in touch with.
Hmm.
But then we have to, because that is family. So
Right.
that is also entanglement. So whatever you say, even a workplace, that is an entanglement. Everything is an entanglement if you go to look very clearly. Sometimes we meet people, we become friends, and then that friendship breaks, but somewhere inside, you are connected with that person, even
Hmm.
though outside that link is not there. So that is also entanglement.
Hmm.
That is what I wanted to say.
Oh, excellent. Well, that was a very nice poem. Would you like to share a third poem with us?
Yeah. So I think I will read this poem. It's about Dev Diwali. I don't know if you have heard about Dev Diwali. Dev Diwali is after we have Diwali. Diwali is on a new moon night.
Hmm.
The next full moon night in Benares, Dev Diwali is celebrated. So thousands of people from all over the world, they go to watch Dev Diwali, and they light diyas near the river Ganga, the famous ghat over there,
Hmm.
and they float the diyas on the water, and prayers are conducted. So that is called the Dev Diwali. So I'm talking about those steps of the ghat. Who is telling the story about Dev Diwali? That is what my poem is about. So this poem had been published with Beyond the Panorama. They had a competition. So over there, I had submitted this poem. My broken steps lead to the holy Ganga, treaded through ages by kings and commoners alike. Wait in eager anticipation for the night of the Dev Diwali. A silent witness to untold tales of joys and sorrows, I shelter their footsteps with open arms, yet each passing day is but a yearning for the night of the Dev Diwali. The telltale brunts of the age, mapped in my cracks and crevices, are covered with seeds of a million hopes, sown along each inch of my existence, blazing in glory under the full moon night, since it is Dev Diwali. The flames of each hope, fighting gallantly against the cool draughts of the dragons of fear and doubt, threatening to annihilate them, a night when every hope finds a safe haven, embalmed in holy chants and deep prayers, celebrating the Dev Diwali.
Very interesting. I especially like your opening, where the kings and commoners tread this path.
Yeah,
Very interesting. Kind of makes a
you
little bit
should
of a equality of things.
you
Very
should go
beautiful.
online and see the pictures of Dev Diwali. Then you will be able to relate with this poem. And
Hmm.
during Dev Diwali, from all over the world, tourists come to see the Dev Diwali.
Oh wow, excellent. So we've got about 5 minutes or so to the end of the program. So if you want to plug the Hunger Anthology, what your thoughts are on that at the end here.
Yes, yes. So here is my book,
Hmm.
and let me just read out this poem about
Okay.
tidbits of hunger. The dark, hungry night waited to lick the orange red lolly while the dawn devoured a new day. My bloodshot, sleep hungry eyes craved for a guileless sunrise with the yearnings of a reincarnation. Hungry for your healing poultices on the gaping blisters of my travel worn soul. Aching for a homecoming to rejuvenating breaths of ease, effortless in beatitude. hungry for the sounds of your domesticity, chortling laughter and cries of little feet, resurrecting my long lost childhood. Hungry for the aroma of brewing coffee on dark winter evenings, wrapped in your cozy companionship. Hungry for the mad cuckoo sparkling on the sun washed leaves and butterfly fluttering blossoms. Hungry for those neglected, long lost tidbits of jigsaw puzzles to retouch my broken dreams.
Wow, it's very heavy there with a lot of interesting imagery, and I think it says a lot about, as we said in the beginning of the anthology, we discussed the word hunger as a concept, the word itself as a concept, and I think you cover a lot of ground there.
Yeah,
Thank
actually,
you.
I my thought was about a man who has, gone into the wrong side of life, and he
Hmm.
wants to rectify himself, and he wants to come back,
Hmm.
to embrace those things which he never valued for at one time,
Hmm.
but he wants that ordinary existence again. He's
Wow,
hungry for that.
wow, beautiful.
Thank you.
So, what would you like to say to our viewers in conclusion of the program today?
Thank you so much for having me here. And you are doing such a wonderful job with this World Inkers Network, with your magazine. And I just saw the publishing thing at the beginning. So you're doing really a wonderful job. And I hope that, this networking, it grows, and we have poets connected from all over the world to create a
Absolutely.
common platform. That's going to be wonderful.
Well, thank you for your well wishes. And would you like to say any thank yous or any give any shout outs on the program while you're here?
Yeah,
Friends,
I want
family?
to I want to thank, of course, my parents, my sisters, my husband. He has always been by my side in whatever I did. My son, who is my greatest critic. Whenever I write something, I give it to him and he reads. Uh, to Richa Wahi for including me in the Word Munchers and giving me this. I
Mhm.
think I would have never published this poetry book or anything, would not be possible if I didn't join Word Munchers. But I also want to thank, like, my colleagues in my schools who, when I was there, I would write poems, I would give it to them to, tell me where I could improve. There's so many people like that. Thank you for that. Thank you for all the networks, all online groups of which I am a part. I write poems and give it to them. They have all helped to shape my poetry, and I'm still learning. I know there's a long way to go.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining the program today. And if you know anybody else who would be interested, then to be a guest on the program, we're going to start operating and broadcasting on Tuesdays and Saturdays instead of every day. So if there
Fabulous.
anybody's interested, just let them know, and I'll get in touch with them.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You've been watching World Inkers Network. I hope you will subscribe to our channel. And remember, if you have any extra cash with you, anything you would like to spare, we would love to get a little extra donations from you guys at PayPal. Here it's paypal.me/nyparrot is our donation handle at PayPal, and that helps us continue broadcasting and helps us continue our processes of publishing and everything else we're doing at World Inkers Network. And you can also reach out to me, Dustin Pickering, if you would like to be a guest on the show. I'd love to have your headshot and a third person bio written, 75 words, 100 words or less. And then also a couple of samples of your work. It doesn't matter what kind of writing you're doing or what kind of creative work you're doing. We want to hear from you so we can help support you, and you can support us as well by contributing to being a guest on the show. And we would love to have you also buy a copy of our World Inkers magazine that just came out. It's a special women's issue. If anybody out there is interested in such things, then, just go ahead and pick up a copy. It's the March edition. It just came out a few weeks ago and has our top 10 literary female luminaries. And so you'll enjoy that, and it has some wonderful work on women's related issues and socioeconomic status of women and the power that women have and within them to transform the world. So please take a look at that magazine. It's a wonderful way to just get informed about the global literary environment. And so that's what we're seeking to do with World Inkers Network, is sort of measure and broadcast the literary environment that we're living in and globally. So this is a wonderful program. So please help support us, and we will support you as well. And remember, if you're not writing today, if you haven't written anything, well, it's, at the time it is, it's time to get to writing. Thank you for joining us today on World Inkers Network. Have an excellent afternoon. Sorry, wrong buttons. Wrong buttons again. Here we go.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me try. Hey, it happens. It happens. I'm trying to run two things at once right now. Let me just play you a little video and I'll figure this out.
Can you give me a...
It's cookout.
Guns away, guns
It's
away,
block party.
guns away,
It's kids
guns
everywhere.
away.
I would drop a message.
You should put the guns away, let the kids come and play, learn to